Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Lorraine Lopez Loves this week with Josh Edelman, comedian, writer extraordinaire, and also he has a documentary that's insane that I can't wait to hear about called Mentally Ill, and you were directed it, wrote it, produced everything.
It's a documentary.
I don't know.
I don't really.
You wrote it.
I actually am credited as writing the documentary in the documentary.
That's hilarious.
But it's part of a joke about writing documentaries.
I actually saw that on IMDb where you're also Joshua.
Josh, I don't know. It sounds more filmmakery. I felt if I wanted to be taken more seriously on IMDb. Josh, it's like joshing around. Josh means like don't take seriously.
Yeah,
but Joshua Joshua's like biblical. Joshua was like the guy Moses was walking around with. He wasn't walking around with Josh.
Yeah. No, yeah, we can see that. Okay. Yes.
So my I feel like I have a very like schizo person. Like there's like filmmaker Josh and comedian Josh. I really like the comedy world more than the filmmaker world. Okay. I feel very uncomfortable when I'm at like film festivals and things because people are just so self-important and self-serious there. And like in the comedy world, like, most people aren't funny, but at least they're like a little bit self-reflective. They're all on stage like, I'm going to kill myself. I'm like, oh yeah, that seems true. they're honest with themselves. The filmmakers are like, I'm going to live forever, but they're the ones that are going to actually kill themselves.
Wow.
I'm at the film festivals walking around like I'm gonna kill myself.
So what festivals you were? It was in a bunch of festivals, right?
Yeah, we just won. Well, we just like last week won the Frostbite International Festival in Colorado. We won the LA Film Festival's LA Comedy Festival with it, and then we were like a finalist in Edinburgh, and a finalist or semi-finalist in the Chicago Blow Up Film Festival. And then we were in a bunch of others. The Catalina Film Festival.
Nice. Now, I was in London, so it's about Al Lubel.
Yeah,
right?
Did you see him at all out there?
I didn't see him, but when I was there in London, I went twice last year to do comedy, and I had all these comics would be like, oh, you're from LA. Do you know Al? Do you know Al? And I was like, no, but my friend Josh, he did this, So, and then even when I was just like social media, made friends with a bunch of people from London, I saw people posting it like, oh, look. And I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
Al is the funniest person no one knows about, like outside of like, you either know Al and he's the funniest person in the world, or you're like, who is this guy? And if you see him, you never forget him because, partially because he says his name probably like 600 times throughout his act.
Interesting.
But
and Al's Jewish, I assume. Okay.
Yeah, insofar as like anyone is Jewish.
Yeah.
Because like, what does it even mean? Like I feel like we got to like define what it means to be a religion. Because like I'm Jewish, but like I don't really go to synagogue or anything. I was born Jewish, raised Jewish, and then now I'm pretty non-religious. Okay. But like I still identify with Judaism.
You have the Jewish personality.
Definitely. By that you mean I'm like very filled with anxiety and fear and but like very much culturally, like I think about it. I actually fast on Yom Kippur. I don't even know why I do it. I hate it. It's miserable, but it's out of like anxiety and fear, I think. I'm just so used to doing it every year.
That's funny.
And and I do it. Although I don't I do like the Seder, but I don't like not eat bread during Passover. And it was funny, my mom last year was like, what are you going to eat for Passover? I'm like, bread, like someone who escaped from bondage. Not gonna I don't know why we're always reminding ourselves like we might be in bondage again. Let's try and live out these non-bondage years fully not in bondage.
It's too much reliving the tough times.
Right. But I don't know. I can't even decide if I'm like religious or non-religious. I feel I feel weirdly spiritual. Like I believe I'm fated to make it, but I'm also like God doesn't exist, which I feel like those two things don't. Like the biggest atheist I know in the world is constantly like, I'm destined for greatness. And I'm like, you can't be destined for something and also believe there's no such thing as destiny. Like that doesn't go together.
Yeah.
Whenever I was in a car with a comedian recently, and they were just like swerving between cars, like looking at me when they talked to me, and they were a religious comic, and I remember thinking to myself, like, this person drives like God has a plan for them. Yeah. He's driving like there is a force field from God protecting this car. Because he's very funny. I was like, this is a man driving like God has a plan for him.
Yeah, makes sense. Josh writes a lot of jokes. Like, you do like a bit every week. Like, you have a new bit by the end of the week. Is that still your thing?
I mean, like, when I'm not too busy.
Okay.
I usually will like start out the week like, all right, this is the stuff I'm gonna work. Well, now I go to a lot of these improv mics. And I just go to and I just take the suggestions out of the bucket and I start doing stuff. Then I'll listen back and I'm like, oh, there's like a nugget of a thing in here and a nugget of a thing in there. And then I just start working on it mic to mic, trying to find something. There was like a period there where I just was having no work. And I would just like start every week out. I'm like, all right, I'm going to make this a bit. And by the end of the week, it doesn't always work out. They're not always good.
Yeah.
But
so the improv one, it's a thing out of the bucket now? Oh, cool. I love those. They're my favorite.
It's fun. I like doing it.
It's sometimes like improv.
So yes, I mean, I've definitely, I got like probably what I felt was my new tight five from bits I came up with through that.
Nice.
So it definitely is worth it.
Is that the Sunday night one?
No, there's a bunch.
There's
like daily ones.
Okay.
Worth checking out. Yeah. But yeah, I try to keep. I used to play piano. I took like 13 years of piano lessons, and I am not nearly good enough at piano for someone who's done that. And I've always felt like my biggest failure, and I really am sad about it because I wanted to. I really love playing piano, and I wish I was better. But the biggest thing I did was I would practice, but I just practice learning how to play the songs. So it's I could play any songs I learned, but I'm not that great at reading music and stuff, and lots of theory I just don't know. And I'm and that's where I really learned the practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So now with comedy, I feel I try to approach everything I do very goal oriented. Yeah. Here's where my weaknesses are that I need to get better at, and not being afraid to fail.
That's one of your biggest weaknesses.
Not being afraid to fail? No. I'm saying not being afraid to fail. I mean, I think everyone. Yeah. Feels that, but I think a lot of people, there are people who I just see do the same five every time for a year, and I'm like this song, you can play this song, or it's not even a bad type of, but you're not gonna be headlining with 5 minutes. You gotta write 30. So don't be afraid to suck at the mic, and with a new five that's not good yet, you're not going to get any better. So it's but sometimes I'll just spend a week practicing just riffing. I'll just go to the mics and try to get on stage with nothing. And most of the time it'll be bad, and it's I just got to deal with it being bad.
That's what I feel like I've been working on with a bunch of shows. I do a bunch of shows that are pretty far, but they're pretty packed. And I have been really working on just talking to the audience and just kind of riffing. And that was the hardest thing for me and would terrify me. And now I'm feel comfortable.
That's great.
Which
is that's awesome.
Also, do you have a good heckle? How do you deal with hecklers?
Well, so one of the nice thing about, I mean, I don't know, it's interesting. It's I'll hit these zones where I'm just in it. I'm just feeling it on all cylinders, and I can't be stopped. And it's I've dealt with hecklers, and I'm not. It's like I'm not even thinking. I'm just like going and just shut them down, just because I'm just so in the momentum of it. But I don't always like get the. I don't always feel like that momentum, and it's like I think the goal is ultimately to like find the way to like at least fake that you have that momentum every time you get up on stage. I just did a show in Florida, so the show we did the last time we hung out. In Apple Valley when I did like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. I mean, it was okay. It went okay.
Yeah, it went great.
I felt okay. Yeah, but I appreciate it. But it's I was like, I'm like, you don't get to do 30 minutes in the places that are gonna love me is the thing. I get to do 30 minutes in the places where I'm already like pushing a boulder uphill when they hear my last name is Edelman. So I did that. And then the next time I did 30 minutes was when I was in Florida, which is where I'm from. I was visiting my parents. And I did the show in West Palm Beach. And I wasn't even doing political material. 2 minutes into my set, the entire room was just chanting Trump at me.
No.
And I'm like, 2 minutes in. But it was what happened
Where
was
at?
This is in West Palm Beach.
Whoa.
It was like a packed room.
Are they conservative? Is that conservative?
It went blue in 2016, but it's conservative. I think because West Palm Beach is part of the greater Palm Beach County, and overall Palm Beach is liberal.
Yeah.
But the people coming out to the free shows, the people voting for the liberals are going to the West Palm Improv. The people coming out to the free bar show are not the liberal loving crowd. All that happened was I did my opening joke, which is like almost a guaranteed killer for me, and it got nothing. And I was like, all right, I got to try and relate to these people. So I look at like the people in the front row, and I'm like, oh, are you guys from around here? And they're like, no, we're on vacation. And I'm like, where from? And they go, Mexico. And I just went, and you came to Trump country for vacation? And then just the whole room just starts going, Trump, 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 Trump. And I just stood up there, and I just like took a moment to myself, and I went, you know what, Josh? Here's an opportunity for you to stay on stage for 28 more minutes with a hostile environment. I'm like, you're going to have hostile environments.
Wow.
And I kept like, it's funny when they started doing that, I was like, all right, I need to fix this, but I also can't like back down from them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, guys, calm down. I get how you feel. Even I sometimes will hear people in the news giving Trump a hard time for something stupid, and I'll be like, that's not fair. I do that. But then I remember, oh yeah, I shouldn't be the president, Yeah. And and they did not like that. But I kept going with it for a little bit. Then I was like, all right, guys, let's talk about something else. And I did like another 10 minutes, and they just weren't liking me. They just hated me. Mm-hmm. And I just stopped, and I look at them, and I'm like, man, it's a packed room. You're all paying attention to me. I'm not doing well. The only person I have to blame for this is Trump. And that kind of broke them. And then like the rest of my last 13 minutes went okay. But like I feel like really early on in my stand-up life, I would have just freaked out in that situation. Yeah. But like, I weirdly got kind of excited about it. It woke into energy. I was like, this is an opportunity to like, I always say
there's something fun about that for sure.
Yeah.
I love that feeling sometimes where I feel like, they're against me. And now it's just, I get into some weird like chill mode. I'm like, all right, well, I'm up here, and so I'm just gonna like do whatever I want, and that's
I feel like one of the
terrifying, but kind of enjoyable.
I feel like one of the best things to do is just slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Like when that happens, it's like I feel like a lot of people start to speed up through their bits. I just like take a moment to like pause to myself and just kind of take in the situation and like to look confident. And I feel like a lot of people like start to move backwards on stage. I try to just force myself to walk forwards towards them. They're like little things that I feel like make a difference. And then I've just, from different bombs, I've like picked up tricks. I've got like, it's almost like I think about like how LeBron talks about like practicing with Hakeem Olajuwon in the offseason to pick up new moves. And it's like, yeah, he's like a great basketball player, but it's not, he's learning tricks, and it's like to remember my bag of tricks that I have. And I usually pick up the tricks from bad shows. I feel like I always get more out of a bad one than a good one. Like one thing I do is if I tell a joke that I feel is very good and has a very distinct punchline and I get nothing, I just stand in the silence for like a solid minute looking at them, letting everyone get real uncomfortable, and then I'll just go, two can play at this game. And that
That's awesome.
And that really like puts them on edge. It's like a real, they think that it's just like, they feel like they're in control, not laughing at me. And then I just give them a little dose of, I'm still in control. Yeah. I'm comfortable. I'm used to silence. Audiences aren't. Mm-hmm. Or I'll tell them, like, I'm trying to get better at not blaming the audience for my own failures to get up in front of less shitty audiences.
Are you on, have you been or are you on dating apps?
I'm in a relationship.
Oh, you are? Nice.
For a little while right now.
Cool, congratulations.
Thank you.
How long?
I guess we haven't seen each other in so long.
It's been a long time.
It's been 4 months.
Oh,
so, I mean, I don't know how long that is, but it's 4 months. That's like a month longer than like LA marriages average.
Yeah. I hate to talk about it every podcast, but I just celebrated my 5th month anniversary with my boyfriend.
Congratulations.
You don't hate to talk about it. You don't hate to talk about it. You don't need that caveat.
Yeah. So, how did you meet?
Through a friend. She's an actress.
Oh, nice.
So I feel like it's very interesting dating someone who's also like creative. Mm-hmm. There are challenges.
Yeah. Have you dated an actress before?
Sort of.
Okay.
Sort of. I mean, I typically am drawn to creative people.
Yeah.
It's weird because I'm always like, I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm being the boyfriend I need. If that makes sense. I feel like
okay.
Everyone's like, this is not going to work out, John. No, it's great. It's just interesting. It's like you're a comedian, you're a talker, and then you're dating an actress, you're dating a talker. There's no, like, we both make an effort to be listeners. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. But
well, at
great.
least it's not the same same thing.
But she's very talented. She also is like a writer and like a comedic actress and does lots of cool stuff.
Nice.
So it's been fun.
Cool.
It's been nice.
So when you were single, were you on the dating apps?
I was on them, like they existed, to make me feel bad about myself.
Well, I'm just curious because as like being a good like writer, were you able to like write good pickup lines to women?
Nothing made me feel less confident in my writing abilities than the dating apps.
Okay.
Nothing like I mean, I'm such an absurdist in the way I write that like anytime I'm filling out a profile, I'm like, what are you? And then I like look at people's profiles and I'm like, how did you figure out how to do this? Your profile, and I became like so manic with like the I'm like constantly changing. I'll like message someone and then I'll like go tailor my profile to like be what I think this person I messaged would want to see. And then they don't respond. And then I look at my profile. I'm like, what did you even, what did you even write here? You lunatic, Josh. Mm-hmm. And like every time I'd like step away from the dating app and then go back to it, I'd look at it and be like, what an idiot. Who wrote this?
Mm-hmm. I took snapshots of all mine, like thinking, like you just have such good shit in there. But you know what I've noticed? A lot of people, when I would match with them, they would unmatch me. Like as soon as we started hanging out, they would unmatch me. But why? Why, guys? Why did you unmatch me? I want to like go back and show people your profile.
But once you start hanging out with them, don't you?
Well, that's what my boyfriend, we met on Hinge. And I basically, when we started dating, I think it was not that long in, and then all of a sudden he was unmatched me. And a lot of times when people do that, I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing. You don't want me to know you're still on Hinge. You know what I mean? So he just is off right away. It's smart. I've also forced people to match with me just to get a good picture. Yeah.
But I feel like I never did a good job capturing who I was on any of them. And also, it's just like, I feel like, you know, when you put out there that you're a comedian or something, they expect you to be funny so fast. Yeah. And I feel like there's such a pressure to be like funny so quickly. And I'm funny like naturally, you know, just like trying to force it out of myself. It's going to be weird. And also like, I'm funny in weird way. You don't want to see me be funny right away.
Yeah.
But also everyone in this city is bad. I remember when I first joined Tinder, I was on it for like 3 months and I had like 3 matches. And then I went on a vacation to Colorado with my family and I matched with like 40 people in 1 week. And I was just like wild. Like I was like, that was wild. Out here, I am Dumbledore.
I know. I also feel like people out here are flaky. People are flaky, so they can just do it for fun, and then they don't ever look on it. Like, you know what I mean? I think that's just what happens. So,
and it's just like, and it's so funny. Like, anytime you talk to a girl about what they like everyone wants something so fucking. Everyone's like, I want someone that like puts time and thought into their message. And then everyone's like, I don't need a weird guy that's like, just write hey. And I'm just like, all right, so you're all there's no rules to it. I remember like one of my favorite interactions that did not work out, of course, was I just messaged this girl hey, and she wrote back. God, here's like my Me Too Hinge story. She wrote back, sorry, I'm not that easy. And then I just wrote back, funny, I'm hard too.
Oh, that's good. That's
and I was like, that was clever. I was like, there you go. That's being funny right away. But that's like how I'm funny right away. And she did not like that. The one who's like, I'm not that easy, wasn't gonna like the I'm hard too comment.
Have you is there ever been like a terrible like Hinge Tinder date that you've ever been on?
Well, I think the most upset I ever got was this psychiatrist that I met on Tinder. So we start talking, and then she drops that she has a kid. And she's like, is that like a deal breaker for you? And I was like, well, you know what? I'm like getting older now. I'm like, my friend's dating a gluten-free vegan. Honestly, that sounds more annoying to me than a kid.
Yeah.
So I was like, sure, whatever. Let's hang out. Like I was like, and she's like, okay, well, my schedule's like crazy. And I'm like, great. Just, let me know when you're free, and my schedule's easier because, I'm an unemployed comedian. And so I don't hear from her, and I was just kind of like, fine, I didn't hear from her or whatever. I didn't need a kid anyway. But then a week later, I get a message hey, I never heard from you. And I was like, oh, I thought you were going to message me when you were available. And she was like, well, maybe I wanted you to message me again. I was like, okay, well, how about Thursday? She's like, let me see if I can get a sitter. And I'm like, okay, great. And then on Wednesday, I was like, hey, just checking in. Are we on for Thursday? And she was just saying something, and then she just unmatches me. I was like, oh, but the big thing she said was, she's like, when she said she had a kid, she's like, don't just disappear. If you're gonna go away, just say goodbye. I can't deal with it again. And I was like, sure, fine. I'm not gonna disappear. Da, 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 da. And then she just disappeared, and I was like, fuck you. It made me so mad. I didn't even care that the date didn't happen. I was just so livid by the don't just disappear. But I think that's points so much to human psychology. Whatever someone says they're afraid of, or whatever if someone's constantly paranoid that you're cheating, probably because they're a cheater.
That's definitely true.
I find that like the things people are afraid of is because it's like Trump. You know, Trump's always like, everyone's racist. Everyone thinks this way. I'm like, no, you just think that because you're racist and you think everyone thinks like you. Yeah. And some people do, but that's because there's a lot of pieces of shit. So it's just like, I think that like, it's not always the case, but the things, oftentimes people are afraid of being cheated on just because they got cheated on. But I think like people project themselves.
Also, because I do feel like I didn't know that I was doing this, but I was ghosting a lot. And my biggest fear all the time is getting ghosted. And I'm always like, even now with my boyfriend, I'm like, is he going to ghost me? Like, I always feel like a little like abandoning, like I'm scared. But it's because, but I didn't know that I was doing it, and I would never do that.
But it could also, all be like a defense mechanism for itself. Yeah. You know, like you're afraid of getting ghosted, so you're like, I'll just ghost first. You're afraid of getting cheated on, you're like, so I'll cheat first. Yeah. She's afraid of me just like disappearing. It's like, so I'll disappear
I'm out first. Yeah, no, that's totally true. I did have one that I forgot
I'm
about.
afraid of getting dumped, so I'll dump first. I never beat them. I never beat them. They 100% of the time beat me. Every time.
I went on a date with this guy from, I don't even remember what app. And he kept saying, oh yeah, my friend does this, but it was really him. And he was like super terrible the whole entire time. And he wanted to be a comedian. And he saw it on my profile, and he was like trying to be super funny. And he said, he was like, my friend, I mean, when he has sex, he's going to ejaculate immediately, but he will give you a beautiful cheese plate after. And I was just like looking at him like, oh, okay. Like, I don't even know what to say, but he's like obviously talking about himself. Yeah, and that night.
Wait, did you find out he was talking about himself?
No. They usually give people way too many chances, and this one I was like, I can't. And that date,
you were like, I'm lactose intolerant.
I would never. No, but that date actually made me switch to women for a hot second.
Wait, you started dating women?
I didn't. But I changed it on my app. I changed it. I know it's a thing people do. But what is it called? I don't know. Basic.
You know what's better than a flaccid penis? No penis at all.
Yeah, that was my thing. No, but that night I was out with him, and this super hot chick hit on me. And I was like, is the universe telling me that I should date women? Because this is crazy. So then, I did.
But were you attracted to the woman that hit on you?
Yeah, super hot. But you know what?
I feel like I have this theory. Like that, or I believe, like super hot guys and super unattractive guys, neither one's more attractive to me. I recognize that someone's hotter. I know Brad Pitt's hotter than Jonah Hill, but I'm not like turned on by Brad Pitt more than I'm turned on by Jonah Hill. And I even believe that if I were to like try out being gay, I'd probably go for a short, pudgy guy over like a tall, buff dude who's like more effeminate, you know?
Yeah, makes sense.
And I've actually dated
masculine woman.
No, I've dated lesbians, but I guess they're bisexual. Yeah. People always get mad at me when I say I've dated lesbians, like you've dated bisexuals. And I'm like, but you know, could you not give the credit that possibly I'm dating a lesbian experimenting with men? Because I feel like if you're a lesbian experimenting with men, I'm like very lesbian-y, you know? Like I come off, I'm like not that. I remember seeing like this hot chick like making out with this like really butcher lesbian, and I outside a bathroom at the Abbey once, and I was like, I kind of look like her. I kind of look like, and I'm like, maybe these girls are like, I'm going to give men a try. And not only do I look similar to like the type of girl they might date, but I'm also available. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like that guy seems available, and we date for like a couple of months, and then they'd go back to girls.
Yeah, how is that? Does it make you insecure when you're dating them, or
No, it made me feel like at the time I was like, fuck, I turned this lesbian. Well, like what up with that? I'm the man.
Yeah,
made me feel great. And then they went back, and it was like, well, okay, yeah, probably. And then I started thinking, oh, maybe I'm just like lesbian-y to them. But like that's but like to me, I'm like, well, so you are probably a little bit spectrum towards
well, it's
towards
also
bisexuality.
the idea though that sometimes I feel like social norms, you just kind of do what you're supposed to do. So I'm like, how would I know if I never did it? So I was just kind of open to it.
Oh, I mean, I guess it's just like I'm so definitely attracted to women, and
but also there's a thing because women are like. Women like to look at like, oh, that girl's pretty, or I like her dress, or oh my gosh, she's beautiful eyelashes. So that's the difference of actually realizing that, oh no, I just want her hair.
Well, yeah, but
you know what I mean? Versus, so it could be that too. And I gotta tell my mom not to listen to this. I have experimented, and I'm really not 100%. I'm not into women. I tried it, and I love men.
But a little
more. I love men. Just kidding.
but you're a little more because I couldn't even experiment. I remember there was this guy at an open mic who said he wasn't sure if he was gay, so he let this guy with an 8-inch cock have sex with him. And I was like, you're a little gay. You're a lot gay. That's a huge dick. I'm like, you're definitely gayer than me. He was like, and at the end, I'm not gay. And I'm like, I don't even know if you learn that you're not gay as much as you learn that you're not a bottom. Because I'm like, I didn't find out. I might be straight. Let me let this woman peg me with an 8-inch strap on and be like, oh, turns out I'm gay. I didn't like that at all. So I thought that was so I say you have enough that you were willing to experiment where I'm not even willing to experiment.
Yeah.
Now there's anything wrong with it.
But I'm pretty just out of like, I probably don't seem it, and I probably seem uptight, but I'm not. I'm just a very open person in general, so I don't know if that's just.
Have you done threesomes?
I had. My mom can't listen to this. But
your mom already can't. You've already decided your mom can't listen.
But she doesn't listen.
She doesn't listen.
She does not listen. And
she doesn't listen to you. She does listen to the
She doesn't listen to me. She wouldn't listen to me.
But has she not heard this stuff before?
No. But you know what? Who gives a fuck? Sorry, Mom.
You gotta be you. You gotta be you.
I haven't drank in a couple of days, so I feel like. But I don't know. I'm going crazy today. Yeah, I guess, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm a grown woman.
Mm-hmm. when you did the threesomes, was there action between you and with another girl?
Yes.
Two girls, one guy.
Yes.
But was there overlapping action in all the ways? Suddenly turned into the Stern cast.
This is the craziest episode. Yeah.
Good.
Who would have known, right?
Mm-hmm. I tried to have a threesome once, but I couldn't even get one person outside.
I actually do remember a story that you told me that you went to Spain. You met a girl. You were at a park. Would you talk about that, or do you remember you were there for like the running of the bulls?
I was. Well, I met the girl in Paris.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I met this girl in Paris, and we had like a 5-day fling, and she wanted me like to stay in Paris. And I was like, I'm gonna go run with the bulls in Pamplona. And then I thought, but like I really got along. We like really connected. And in my head, I was like, hey, maybe like next summer I'll go back to Paris and hang out. And she got married the next year to someone she met. And I was like, well, there goes that. But it was like a very amazing. I don't really. It's not that funny or that interesting a story. I remember
never mind. I keep doing this. You know what I mean? I think I keep doing it to guess. Like I know stories, and then they're like, no.
I think the funniest and most Jewish. Although I hate saying this has anything to do with Judaism. I think the funniest part of the story is that I got to Paris. It was the most expensive hostel that I stayed in my entire like trip to Europe. My first day, I meet this girl. I end up spending the whole time with her, but I had to pay for the hostel in advance. I just the whole time was like mad that I paid for the hostel instead of just enjoying the fact that like I'm having this like Beyond Sunset style like fantasy reality like
you just experience couldn't enjoy it.
That's like not typical for my life. I totally did enjoy it, but like I would every once in a while I should have paid.
Can you sublease a hostel stay?
No. No, and they like I tried to get a refund. It was it was so petty of me while I'm having like the best time of my entire life. I had to make sure it was a tiny bit ruined by
I like that.
By the expensive hostel. It's like 50 euros a night. Every other hostel's like 20. And I was there for 5 days.
Well, you gotta live it up sometimes.
But yeah, and then I went and could have, if I had gotten like gorged while running with the bulls, I would have been so remorseful about not just staying in Paris. But I decided I had to do it. It was like,
and also you could have died. So it's like,
absolutely,
you should have had the best hostel.
I should have died. I should have been the person who died, because I remember like I'm like, all right, it's like 1,000 people that do the running of the bulls, like 8 people, like it's like over 1,000, like 8 people get like hurt every year. The odds are I'm not going to be one of the people that get hurt. And then I like get into the arena and it's just like 1,000 athletic Australian people and one like neurotic Jew, and like I was like so weak compared to everyone that I was just physically forced into the nucleus of the whole crowd. And I was like, I am going to die. I am the guy.
Yeah, you're the guy.
I'm the guy who dies in this scenario for sure. And the night before, I was like, so like my whole trip through Europe, I kept going like back and forth. Am I going to run? Am I not going to run? Am I going to run? Am I not going to run? And I read The Sun Also Rises like right at the beginning of my trip. And it was like a 2-month plus trip that I was putting myself through. And like I decided, I was at a different hostel and someone was watching Braveheart, and I was like in the middle of just like debating whether or not I was going to do it in my head, and I just walk into the room to a person watching Braveheart, and it's right when William Wallace goes, everybody dies, but how many of us truly live? And like that was when I was like, all right, I'm doing it. So then like the night before, it's in San Fermin Fiesta, and it's like wild. It's just like everyone's just drunk in the streets partying. It's just out of fireworks going off everywhere. All of Pamplona is just like the biggest party you've ever seen in your entire life. And like I'm doing like magic tricks for this random girl I met on the street, and then for this Pamplona girl, and then she just stops. She grabs me by the arm and she goes, promise me you aren't going to run with the bulls. And I was like, I am going to run with the bulls. She goes, you're going to die. An American always dies.
No.
And I was like, you can't tell me. You can't tell me this. I'm doing it. And it like just terrified me like for like the rest of my time through doing it. But part of me was like, Josh, you're like afraid of talking to girls. If you run with the bulls, talking to girls is going to be easy. Didn't change anything about how afraid I am of talking to girls after I just continued the same level of fear, just had ran with the bulls now. It maybe makes me like slightly more dangerous seeming to girls who find that out. But you can't lead with that.
I was going to say, you got to open with it. You can't open with it?
I ran with the bulls.
Could be your pickup line on the apps.
I think someone would find that very genuine, and yeah, I like that.
If you guys were on a Tinder date and hi, what's up? Good to meet you. So also real quick, just lead in, I ran with the bulls. Would you be like?
I would be like, wow, that's cool.
You wouldn't be like this douchebag.
Yeah. No.
Well, I did tell you about it when we were hanging out.
He told me pretty early on.
This exact scenario.
I did basically lead with it in my friendship with Lorraine.
And were you impressed? There you go.
She brought it up now. She remembered it.
Yeah.
Well, Lorraine looks Pamplonan.
Oh, do I? Mm-hmm. What was I going to say?
But what was I going to add to that? I feel like it's also insincere. Like I did it, but I did it because it's out of character for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to surprise people.
Yeah.
I felt like I would have regretted not doing it. And then if I did it and something went wrong, I obviously would have regretted doing it. But since
And you
nothing
could compare
went
it
wrong,
to anything else. You could be like, well, if I did that, I can do anything.
Yeah, it's a very surprising fact about me for people that know me. Because I'm deeply neurotic.
Right with the Bulls does seem super sketchy.
Yeah, it's crazy because like it's weird because it's like, all right, so like we have house pets, we have like dogs and cats and things, and like we're aware that bulls are real animals that like exist in reality. But like when I was running with them, at one point like they're running past me. And like I'm like right next to them for a minute.
Yeah.
And like I looked at it and it's just like its muscles and its arms are so strong. Like you could just see the outline of the bull's muscles and it's got its horns and it's just like pitch black. And I was looking at it, I'm like, this is a mystical creature. It felt like being in a fantasy film for like a second. Like it felt like I was running with something magical. Which was really cool. And then, later they stab it with swords and it runs at someone and dies a miserable death for a bunch of people's entertainment. And the whole purpose of the running of the bulls is to get the bulls into the arena where they're eventually killed. So it is horrible. It's truly like a horrible thing at the end of the day. But in that moment, I'm like, this is very majestic and incredible. And before their horrific death later.
Can we rewind to you were a magician?
Oh yeah. So like part of like why when people like ask me how long I've done stand up for, I feel like it's like an impossible question to fairly answer is I spent multiple years as a magician in New York. And I had a show and I performed regularly and I was hired as a magician, but I was definitely a comedy magician that leaned more towards the comedy than I did the magic.
Yeah.
So like all that stage time, I was writing jokes. I was like writing bits for the tricks. Like I feel like that counts towards stand up, even though it was a different skill.
Yeah.
And even though the interesting thing about doing magic versus stand up is you have more confidence doing magic because you have the crutch of the trick. That I know that even if my jokes don't work, at the end of the day, once the amazing thing happens, everyone's going to be impressed by the amazing thing and not care about whatever jokes didn't work. Plus, everyone's more like inclined to laugh because they're waiting for the magic. They're not like judging you for the comedy. So like you can get away. It's almost like when like a CEO gives a speech at like a company Christmas party and sticks some jokes in there. Like those jokes would tank at any comedy show.
Yeah.
It's easier to be funny when you're not expected to.
When you're not
any toast at a wedding.
Yeah. And everyone's like, you should be a comedian. Then you go and you do your toast at Bert's, and everyone's like, fuck you, kill yourself. Get your name out of the ticket at the bucket of the Improv. But it was tons of stage experience. It was like practice delivering. I did acting. I made this documentary for 2 years on a comedian. I had my podcast for like almost 2 years.
Was this in New York or LA?
But over both.
Okay.
Over both.
How long have you lived in LA?
8 years now. And like, I took a stand-up class in New York and did like a bringer show once every 2 months, and that was like the extent of my like beginnings of stand-up before I quit and like didn't pick it up again until a year and a couple months ago. So it's, I feel like the fairest thing for me to say is like 3.5 years if people ask, when actual stand-up I've really been doing for like 1 year and 3 months, but very hardcore. Like I think I did something just under 800 mics last year.
Damn.
That's insane. Yeah, it's good.
It's impressive. 800 mics?
Inspiring.
Well, I looked at
What does that average out to a week?
it's like 2.25 a day.
Wow.
Was my average.
That's amazing.
Do you do less now that you're in a relationship? Like, what do you...
No.
No?
No. Well, I do less because I'm a little busier right now with things. I probably would have hit 1,000 if I just didn't get like things with my job, different, jobs that I do to survive.
Yeah.
Picked up and I guess the relationship, but we're both creatives, so there's like very much an understanding. Has my phone been making noise this whole time? Oops.
I also wanted to talk about, because we do live in LA, and I feel like crazy fucking shit happens every day. I work at a bar, a very kind of fancy bar, should be. And this transit woman who looked normal, but completely undressed and got naked from the whole bottom. Her whole vagina was out.
I thought you said butthole there for a second.
And butthole probably, yes.
Yeah. Wait, at the bar?
A transient?
Yeah, but she looks fine, but then you realize, oh, she is, because you never know.
When you say transient, you
mean a
homeless person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In LA, when you say any form of trans anything,
Yeah, right.
I didn't know if you were miscalling a trans person trans, or if you were saying transient as in. I knew transient meant homeless, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone refer to them as transient, especially in LA.
Oh, really?
So a homeless lady got naked at your bar?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was just completely normal, and then our security is just, you can't bind them. So then her thong's on the floor. She's a new thong on.
You can't bind them? What do you mean?
We can't find.
Oh, fine.
Yes.
Oh, you couldn't find security?
No, we could not.
Okay.
So that's just a normal thing.
Oh, well, I see craziness on a daily basis.
What is the craziest? Because that's the
craziest. Well,
it's normal.
I mean, I have bits I do about it now, because I have a car, but I try to walk as much as I can. It's like how I get my exercise. I write a lot while I'm walking. But I've had to call like 9 ambulances just because I've seen multiple pedestrians get hit by cars, and I've seen like multiple homeless people on just the verge of death.
Wow.
Did you hear about the poop attack on Hollywood Boulevard?
Oh God, it's the most
heard of this?
terrifying thing I've ever heard.
Look at this headline.
It's the most terrifying.
Homeless man hurls bucket of diarrhea at woman near Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh no.
Which is crazy, because if you have the app, the Nextdoor app, that's a common thing. Oh, someone threw poop in my face. A homeless, I don't know what's happening, and I feel like my area is not a terrible area, but people are like, I just got beat up by it. Like, it's just crazy.
It's prime for a little poop attack.
Oh, I don't think I can watch that.
You don't want to see that video.
No,
there's
I
a
think
video
I'm
of
good.
it?
Yeah,
It's not a video of the poop attack, but it's a video of homeless people randomly attacking like people on the street. Like this one just shows a lady walking and a guy just like cold cocks her right in the face. Another one, a guy's like standing on the sidewalk and some dude runs up and shoves him into the traffic, and they're schizophrenic. It's not like
chaos.
Mentally, the dude who did the poop attack, he has been arrested like 4 times for some.
Is it the guy? Because he's actually like a YouTuber guy.
No, this was like an actual like schizophrenic person. It's not.
No, but he's that too. Because he's been around and people know him, and he goes around sucker punching people, and then he like films it and puts it on YouTube, and he's supposed to be he's like,
well, this
not
guy's
in jail.
This guy's name is Jerry Blessings. Let's see if there's a mugshot.
It's one of the I'm trying to remember. Someone asked me a hypothetical of whether I would prefer that happening to me or something else terrible, and whatever the other thing was, I chose it. That's just like the
poo thing.
The poo thing is one of the most horrible. Like, it hurts me to hear.
What's worse, poo or cum?
Poo.
Oh yeah.
Poo. I'd rather be doused in cum for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Not like it's easy.
Yeah. That's brutal. I think the only thing worse would be burning alive.
I mean, plenty of people, both men and women, came on all the time. Very few, not zero, but very few allow themselves to be shat on.
Yeah.
Far less are allowing themselves to be shat on than came on.
Yeah.
Good, valid point.
Numbers are right.
And I'm not trying to have either one happen to me.
The numbers
but
check
if given the choice, I'm part of the the majority choice. And I'm sure that all the people allowing themselves to be pooed on are also fine with being came on.
Yep.
And I know that doesn't work.
Yeah, there's got to.
Yeah,
I can't imagine there's anybody who's okay with getting pooped on and not okay with getting cum on them.
Exactly,
right?
that's what I'm saying.
It's
It'd be funny to
100%.
draw the line. If you like get shit on, you'd be like, all right, don't blow a load in my face, dude. What are you, sick?
That's degrading. But what was the other? Oh, so here's like this would I'd say be the most fucked up thing. This happened the other day, and this was utterly terrifying. I was walking to an open mic, and I see a little tent city ahead of me, and I'm just like annoyed that I have to walk through this tent city. The second I step into the tent city, this woman yells, "Get him!"
Whoa.
And then these two guys pull out baseball bats. I think they're coming after me. They will go right past me and start beating this other guy with baseball bats. And I just go running, and then I call the cops.
Where was this? What part of the city?
Hollywood. This is on
Holy shit.
Hollywood Boulevard in in Thai Town. Hollywood Boulevard.
What is
I
happening
think it was
to our
Hollywood
city?
and Hobart is the exact.
Holy
I hope whoever did that didn't just hear me say I called the police.
And now, yeah.
And now I'm, because
You're next,
if this
dude.
podcast blows up too much, I'm
You're
fucked.
fucked.
I don't think
Lorraine.
these homeless people are listening to this
God,
podcast.
They
You
do. They
don't-
have phones. They're on. They know
that-
what's up. They're
I
on
do
their
see
shit,
a high
and they
percentage-
dress well.
It is interesting. Like I see a high percentage of people at the tents with phones, like more than I'd expect.
But I'm not even sure if
They all
the
do.
baseball bat carrying people were homeless or like gangsters or what was going on.
So, can I share an anecdote super quick? Yeah. A friend of mine does security, or he used to do security in one of those parking lots in Hollywood, and they have, similar to like prison culture, they have their own like pecking order of like people in these like kind of tent cities, and there's like certain shot callers. They have certain like barter systems. So there are guys who are like the baseball bat wielding enforcers who do that, and they'll like take payments from other people in the tent cities, the same way like the mafia would shake down like small businesses. Like they'll just like patrol these areas, and they're like, hey, if you want us to protect you, you got to pay, or if you don't want us to quote unquote not protect you, you got to pay. So maybe that guy owed money, or he didn't want to pay them, or dude, it's the jungle, man. It is the fucking jungle.
It was a horrifying thing to see.
Well, one time this was a couple years ago, before it got really bad. I was helping giving water bottles to people because it was like during the heat wave.
Yeah.
I'm like shaking my head. It's like very kind of you, Lorraine, but it just feels I'm like so over all of them.
No, this was way before. This
Same.
was like back. This might have been like 4 or 5 years ago. So I was doing that, and it was just me. It was like 2 people that I know that had asked me, and I was like, yeah, seems like it's gonna be a lot of people. But then they separated us, and they put me with a girl and a guy that they didn't know each other. They barely moved to LA. They were super white, okay, and they looked very scared. So I'm with these people. It's a racial Lorraine. No, but I did, and so I was there, and it was terrifying because we're just we were like
Skid Row.
Yeah. And I don't know, I'm out of my mind. I went in through where the tents are, like in the inner parts, went through this one where there's like all these people, and I'm also like, don't show them that you're scared because that's rude. Like, you have to just go in there and treat people with respect. So I go in their like tent area, and there's like 4 or 5 people around me, and I felt something on me, and I went, ah! And then they all went, oh! Sorry, was that crazy? And then sorry.
It's okay.
And then they all went back, and then I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, it's just a leaf. I thought it was a bug, and they just like, and then I thought, oh no, they're gonna kill me. They're so upset that I said something like that. And then they all started laughing, and they were so nice, and they were like, oh, have a good day. And I was like, thank you.
I mean, I feel bad, but I've also lived in Hollywood, like right in Hollywood.
Yeah.
For 4 years now, and I'm like a deeply empathetic person who cares too much about everything, but I'm like also ready to elect Giuliani. I'm like I'm also like I'm just like, man, it'd be great if we could house them all, but if we can also just kill them all.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm
Well, they
kidding.
can't build-
I think the solution is we take them in buses to like the middle of the desert. We like make it like a little Mad Max world.
They already
out
have
there.
that. You know Slab City? Have you heard of Slab City?
Yeah, just get them all into
Yeah.
Slab City. They'll be prepared for the apocalypse more than us. They think we're doing like a bad thing, but we're like a father who's like preparing them for the future.
Yeah.
The laws have changed where now you can't really do anything. Like I work at a hotel and we have homeless people sleeping on couches, and people don't. It's just that, and I'm like, people are spending $400 minimum a night to stay here, and there's just a homeless person sleeping on that couch.
You can't
and that's
kick them
what
out?
it's. There's like all these technical rules, and our security is the worst security of all time. So yeah.
Who voted for these laws?
Well, you know what happens is, and I learned this, is like you like the ballot comes, you're like, all right, I'm voting for Hillary or Bernie or whatever. I don't know what to do for any of these other things. So you look up like liberal voting thing, and suddenly you're not allowed to drink out of a straw anymore.
Right.
And and it's like, and like a homeless guy knocks on your door like, hey, you just passed the law that I can move into your house. You gotta read these goddamn laws. I was like, I have a whole thing about how like I was like just to be clear, I'm like so deeply liberal, and that'll probably never change, but I feel like I'm becoming more Republican by the day. I would never vote for like any of these Republican monsters, but like every time I'm drinking out of a paper straw, I'm like, the plastic straws aren't what's destroying the ozone. It's these corporations spilling like 1 million gallons of oil into the ocean a day. And I'm just like, liberals are like, you can save the world, and Republicans are like, nobody can. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm on the side of corporations need to change, but between we can save the world and no one can, I'm like, no one can. At least not us. It's like, it's something like crazy, like 100 gallons. I mean, I don't know. This isn't the exact stat, but like 100 gallons of water per almond. And it's like, make sure to take shorter showers. I'm like, or don't eat one almond.
Damn it. I'm just saying like 10 almonds today. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, almonds are great. Almonds are great. I'm just like, the problems are it just all gets so convoluted. It's like the image of doing something. I mean, nothing's worse than what we have in the government right now. But sorry, not to get political on Lorraine Lopez Loves.
So political. But we're gonna wrap up, and I just gonna wrap up with what makes you, like, in all comedians are like the harshest of what's funny. So what makes you laugh in just every day? Like something sweet, not something nice. Like what makes you laugh in normal life? Like
the biggest laughs I get are definitely from just like videos of people fucking up. Which I guess isn't like nice, but if you want like two things I've seen recently that gave me legitimate belly laughs, there's this video of this helicopter rescue. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, where it's like this person like sprained their ankle on like a hike or something, and this helicopter comes to rescue them, and it like puts them in this thing on this string to like lift up to the helicopter, and it just starts spinning out of control, and they can't make it stop spinning, and it is just going like I thought that person had to be dead. It's spinning so fast. And then the helicopter just gives up and just like, fuck it, and just starts flying away with the thing just spinning crazily. That, and then yesterday I saw just this image of I hope my Uber driver's okay. And it was just a picture of like a peninsula, and then just the car deep in the water. And then just a message like, hey, Dinesh, you doing all right? And the guy's like, yeah, on way, lost. And it's like, and the person's like, what's happening, Dinesh? Those are like the two biggest belly laughs I've had recently.
nice.
So, just us being human and messing up in ways that
Definitely.
ultimately don't harm people for the long run.
Yeah. I just laugh inappropriately at things all the time, and I feel like I owe many people apologies. I just get really uncomfortable, and I laugh. And, yeah, I'm going to have a couple apologies this week to do.
Lorraine Lopez laughs.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have anything you want to plug and put your Instagram handle where we can watch Mentally Al?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, I guess, at the Edelmeister on both. TheEdelmeister. You can also follow Mentally Al Doc on both as well. Mentally Al, hopefully coming out soon. I've got some pretty big meetings coming up, so
nice.
I'm just ready for it to be. Well, I don't want to say this on the pod. I'm just ready for someone to take it off my hands. I have a joke that like a lot of people consider their movies their baby. I don't look at mine as my baby anymore. I look at mine as like my adult man child. I'm ready to get out of the house and stop costing me money. Yeah. And I have a web series, Best Friends web series you can check out on YouTube. If you go to bestfriendswebseries.com, I think it takes you there. Otherwise, youtube.com/bestfriendswebseries. Yeah, follow me on Instagram. I plug all my shows there. Got a bunch coming up.
Very cool. Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Lorraine.
Yeah, it's been
you're
fun.
one of my OG comedy friends.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I love that. Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say, Betsy Cox and I are producing our first show, which I'm super excited about. February 19th. It's in West Hollywood. It's at one of my favorite places, Antonio's on Melrose, which is really close to the Improv in Hollywood. And they have, the food's fine, but they have the great margaritas. The service is family owned.
Seems like a perfect spot for you.
Support, local family places, and they have a beautiful back room. We have big comics. We have Kate Quigley, which I'm super excited. She's one of my favorites. We have Alex Thomas and some others, and I'm excited. So if you can, come February 19th, and I'm going to try to get Betsy on the podcast next week, and we'll talk more about it. But thank you guys for tuning in to Lorraine Lopez Loves. Bye.